Welcome to our Hall of Flowers podcast with our hosts, Terp House, formerly Terpene Warehouse, well-known Terp group out of California. Thank you for hosting us here. We're here with one of my favorite companies in the cannabis industry, MFUSED. I guess one of the largest vape pen companies in the country.
Yeah, man. We've been operating for over a decade and just grinding it out and have, turned into a top 10 vape brand in the country.
States are you in now?
Washington, Arizona, New York,
In
and
Washington.
yeah, started in Washington State, man.
Migrated out of Washington.
Yeah. So independent market, legacy market, Washington State, started in the garage 2009 to 2012.
Wow.
Then moved down to Arizona, started there in 2018, 2019, and then recently got to New York about a year ago. And now we're on rapid expansion. So we'll knock out about 5 states in the next 12 months.
And you guys do some incredible business and some really innovative stuff. What are you finding here in New York? What do you think about the New York market?
New York's very interesting. I'll start with just the business climate, right? It's highly politicized. It's very localized. And so we always pride ourselves on being a minority-owned company. And majority of the operators here are minority-owned companies. So it's sort of different, right? It's a little bit of there's like the authentic roots of the cannabis industry live here, but it's also political. There's a political climate, so you have to be really cognizant of that.
Politics like politicians, or politics like the politics of dispensaries, manufacturers, the culture?
Yeah, that's a great point. In the cannabis industry, there's the politics of like how you do things, how things get done, and who you talk to, who you socialize with. But I mean actual politics here.
Yeah,
right.
That's
like
true.
True actual politicians, people getting lobbied and paid in order to, make stuff happen or limit people from having success. And
Yeah.
we've been able to kind of fly under the radar. You can't do that when you're coming into a market and, taking market share. Everybody sort of needs to know who's winning, and, they typically want a piece.
When did you start in New York?
We started last year on April 17th, 2024.
And your few retails?
No. We have 140 stores that we're in. We're a top 10 brand. We're in the top 5.
I know. I was just playing it cool. I knew it was a big number, but I was letting you.
Yeah. No, we're a player, but it's we had a little
140
bit of
retails. That's
reset.
like half the retails in New York.
Yeah, it's about half. We had a reset here and pivot our licensing, so I had to sort of put a pause on business for 2-3 months, and we've been back operating for about 2.5 months, and we're taking that market share right back.
How challenging is it for an entrepreneur out of Washington? You have a great product, you do your stuff, and then suddenly you have to conquer each market state by state, country by country.
Yeah.
And in the hopes that one day that might change in interstate commerce or what?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a world that nobody's navigated before.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I see the future of the industry as 2 parallel markets. So your intoxicating hemp market and your adult use market.
Okay.
Intoxicating hemp allows for interstate and variants of THC. And so very similar products from same plant, same chemical genetic structure. And then there's the adult use market, was a little bit more limiting in terms of participation. So there's a higher threshold for safety, quality, but also sort of everything else that comes with that. And then there's a free market, which is sort of the hemp market. So I see those 2 things merging in the next 3 to 5 years, and states choosing either to pursue adult use and or allow for regulated intoxicating hemp usage. And they're dramatically different styles.
Yeah, I'm a consumer myself, so I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, the consumers can tell the difference between the intoxicating hemp and the regulated stuff.
I think right now they can, because a lot of the groups in intoxicating hemp aren't good cannabis operators. They're just opportunistic. But as more and more regulated brands enter the intoxicating hemp market, they will be indistinguishable. And it will be the same product, same effect, same consistency, quality standards, QC, flavors. Right now, it's just more of a opportunistic and we make product, but that's probably gonna change here. I think in the next 2 years, I have a really strong.
That creates a lot of tough decisions for your investment capital and your strategic decisions.
Of course.
As a company.
I think I would even bear to say, is regulators going to crush the adult use market with taxation, bureaucracy, and politics? So both markets face the same challenge. They're just different. There's 2 sides of the same coin. So I think what you'll see is markets that are vertical, limited license, will probably have prohibitions against hemp. And then markets that are free market operating, like Oregon, Washington, New York, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Michigan, they're going to end up with emerging hemp markets, and they'll just see to be a duality of market.
It's what Lelf was saying. It's working though. You just gave me a lot to think about. It shows that you have the strategic vision and the knowledge to properly lead a company as you're navigating these tumultuous times in the cannabis industry and the regulated, tax and regulated, untaxed and regulated industry that we exist in. Are you doing a hemp thing?
I'm looking at it.
Looking at, like, every smart brand is doing a hemp thing. It's just wild. And even the retailers are doing hemp things.
The hemp market, I call it intoxicating hemp, right? It's like 3-4 years old, right? It's not, it feels very much like early medical in Washington State, where we had houses with bars on them that were medical dispensaries. There were no commercial environments. So there's this inherent innate risk, this pirate pioneer prospecting that comes with pursuing and building a new industry. You got to know when there's a risk, and then what happens if something it lasts for that long and they just keep reformatting the regulation and not just killing it. It's inevitable, right? At that point, it's just like online sales, right? And so we are going to consider pursuing hemp, and it may just be certain products, but we're not. I think the concerns about the space are mitigated by just how long it's lasted, and now they have so much. It's kind of the cat's out the bag. You look at like Governor DeSantis in Florida and his influence for hemp and his willingness to sort of veto anything that comes to his desk and not allow it to shut down hemp. And now all of a sudden you see MSOs also operating in hemp. So it's like their liability as an MSO, as a public company, to participate in hemp is an indication that there is something there. It's not just they're not gonna unfold it, because they have a fiduciary duty, right, to their investors. And so if they're doing stuff, they're also impacting regulation, and they wouldn't be entering if it was like going to get burned down in 2 days.
New York and hemp. How's the New York State government treating hemp?
Here's my prediction, and I said this. I think the illicit market that used to exist in New York with sort of bodegas, the buying and reselling of cannabis products from mature markets or local, is going to turn into hemp. And so I think this entire adult use market is going to face massive pressure, because now those stores can legally sell the same products, where before the governance was, these are illegal, these are traffic, they sent them here. No, they're not. They're completely legal. They're just hemp. And so good luck stopping them. So I think all the bodegas are going to pop back up. All the online distros are going to pop back up. And all of us in the adult use market are going to face massive price compression, taxation. And I think the market's going to pivot back to hemp.
My gut, when you started talking this about 2 minutes ago, had like a thought, like, all these people here could be fucked. But you just explained it in a lot more articulate way. Which pretty much
I'm in this market too. So I'm looking at it like, oh, how do I right size my business? Make sure that I don't over index on, infrastructure. Just because the price is high early doesn't mean that it'll stay there. We're used to commercial markets.
Yeah.
But I think I think New York is going to very quickly turn into subprime market.
That both one does okay and the other one thrives. You know what I'm saying? Because people want the tested, people want the regulated, people want to feel comfortable at dispensaries because they know they're getting quality product. We know that this MFUSED product is highly tested, highly regulated, very safe. There's nothing wrong with it in the hemp market. Now, you're not going to produce a product that your customers don't want, which is good capitalism. But it is the case that some other people might not want that.
I think what you have is a low floor and a high ceiling in hemp. And if the quality becomes synonymous with the brand safety, then no matter where I sell, you're getting the same quality and safety. Yeah. I'm not going to sell my quality standards, period. I'm never going to put out products that I don't know do what they say and are safe, at least to the best of my ability. I'm not here to cut corners and chase dollars. So I think what you'll see is more brand influence, because that brand's ability to operate on both sides will be what drives the decision making and reduce some of the risk of concern. Right now, I called it before, I said it's been sort of like opportunistic. So it's just people kind of making products, selling them, repackaging stuff and throwing it in bags or vapes. As you see more and more, proven regulated companies enter intoxicating hemp, the quality standards we have in adult use can also be applied to intoxicating hemp, right? And so now it's like that concern isn't there. Now it's about access, convenience, online purchasing, and it's just a new channel that is, not as tightly regulated, but for a company that's used to that, we can still adhere to quality standards, because ultimately regulation, in my opinion, is valid if it means that they're forcing you to be like as safe as you possibly can be. Right. And make sure that the money is redistributed back in the community, taxes, careers, jobs. But there's also just the pure CPG space. Right. And it's like Coca-Cola is Coca-Cola everywhere. Right. They bottle locally. And with it, our business, how we've grown is a bit about efficiency, scale, consistency, predictability, and patience. Not being the coolest guys, not being the celebrity, just doing the fucking work. right? And that to me is really important.
You know, Destiny, I love, but I also hate when we have guests that are smarter than me.
Oh, stop.
Oh man, you're throwing some good stuff down. What makes for a good vape pen? What is the trick here?
I think we talked about this. It's at least three factors, right? It's the quality of the vapor.
Talked about it before we got on air.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So it's the quality of the vapor, right? So that's temperature, irritability, the sort of the milkiness, the KPA, the vapor density itself, right? And so that comes from customizing and tuning the engine. Then there's the actual terpene flavor profiles that are helping potentiate obviously the flavors, but also some effects. And then the last part is the oil and the formation and making sure that you have components that sort of complement each other to drive, a great experience. So those three pillars, right? Quality of the vapor, flavor, and of course the oil formulation.
And there's another question I wanted to ask you because you know this one. I always see all these cultivations growing out. There's indoor, outdoor, greenhouse cultivations, and they're squeezing the oil and vapes, basically.
Sure.
Is indoor cultivation doomed because
100%.
that? Okay,
100%. 100%.
thank you.
So, I mean, what is happening is they're able to take, great controlled environments, greenhouses, everything from hoop houses to these European style greenhouses and produce something that is incrementally better. And so ultimately, I think the flower industry as a whole is going to continue to shrink and you're going to see more commoditized processed products
Scale
at scale. And so
greenhouse
term, so think of like the hops industry, right? If you have this insatiably genetically modified indoor cultivation that's pumping out the highest potency and the most unique profiles, it's only a som who can really differentiate and distinguish that, right? Or people that see value in that and buy and resell that. That's sort of what stores do. But from a consumer standpoint, a lot of these things are turning into joints. They're turning into oils. And if you're growing the most pristine, perfect, genetically perfect apple, you're not turning into applesauce. But they're selling a lot more apple pies, applesauce than they are necessarily just perfect pristine apples. All those ugly apples get turned into something else.
I personally look forward to the day that you can just get online and order your products because that's what the consumer wants.
It is now.
Well, but nationally, internationally, but you can't buy this and
Can't buy that specific vape online right now, but you can buy cannabis vapes online right now legally. It's all about geofencing and understanding the appropriate route and what's local, and you can buy cannabis vapes right now.
But if you're sitting in Austin, Texas, you can't buy MFUSED.
You're not buying infused right now.
Right. Yeah.
All right. I got to say this. My first ever interview was with you guys.
Yeah.
In Arizona. So, I've done maybe a handful since, not a whole lot. I'll do a lot more. But really, it was like the comfort I have with you personally. I'm very gracious of the opportunity to get up here and speak and talk and have everybody has their story and their process, how they got there.
Yeah.
And my story, my process, my father, my family, my lifestyle, the trial, the difficult parts of my life. I'm deeply committed to my team. And so as someone who's been doing this for over 15 years, who's 39, I started in my early 20s. Every elevator, everything I get into, I realize the more I learn, the more I don't know. Right. And so my job is to constantly learn and even be somewhat wasteful with some of my time to make sure I'm exposed to things that may not have a direct impact. So it's not about just like today and tonight, it's about tomorrow. And I'm just very career focused for my team. Right. Period. And these guys aren't volunteering. They need careers developed in cannabis and skills developed in cannabis that allow them to expand beyond cannabis and have sustainability, not just, ride the Jeff Freeman, MFUSED magic carpet ride and eventually land and not have a skill set to go and do something to make money elsewhere. And so I understand what this really is an obligation to make sure I take care of my staff. And I think that's why I work so hard, right? Because a lot of guys in my spot, what we're doing, start coasting, having fun, partying. It's like I grind so hard and I'm willing to take calculated risks. But the only way to do that is to try to be informed.
It's really cool to see you develop, and I look forward to seeing what you do over the next 10 years. You just see some of the same familiar faces you see out there, different companies and stuff. And I know yours, and you're well known, and look forward to your success. So I really, really appreciate you dropping by. What do you think of Hall of Flowers, just real quickly?
Love it, man. It's a cool event. My first time actually attending, I've meant to attend in California, just been too busy. But it's definitely interesting. I see it's very cultural. Right. So that's cool. It's a little different than some of the other trade shows, different audience. But it's always great to see people get together. To me, I love the fact that you get to see the other brands, humanize, visit them, talk, size each other up a little bit. There's always a bit of that, right? But All Flowers is awesome. And, we'll definitely be participating here. And as we march down each state in this country, we'll see these guys everywhere.
I meet a lot of these guys, and my money's on you. I will invest in you when you go public. I promise you that. Just tell me about it before everybody else. All right. This has been another episode of Meat Unshackled, and we are here at Hall of Flowers the next 2 days. We'll see you soon.